Nobody would have thought that I would be the one. Rhyner, sports talk.
Baseball, 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 baseball.
Oh, with the big mic. Oh, okay. All right, yeah. Okay, now I get it.
We got a lightning strike, boys. What happened over there, Grego? We had a little lightning strike right outside the window.
The Texas Rangers win the World Series.
All right. Here's a tip for all these Americano League teams.
Wait, you said tip?
Yeah, tip.
Okay.
With a P.
Keep jamming.
The ticket, colon, nothing but a big Gen X jerk-off sake.
This is a cool night or what?
Although somebody would hear that and go, bullshit.
I'm back, bitches.
I would be Mike Rhyner in here inside the nurturing biosphere of the mothership for episode 163 on this, the 15th of October. It's going to be a little bit different today because we are joined by Stephen Woods out in San Diego.
Hi, Ron.
The talk show host out there who is from our Fairburgs and took his talents to San Diego and proceeded to blow up the San Diego radio market with his friend Ben on the Ben and Woods show. And also we have with us the new manager of the Texas Baseball Rangers, Skip Schumaker. And Skip Schumaker, that's going to kill me.
It is.
I'm sorry.
I've been called worse. We're good.
All right, we had some technical difficulties there up front. We apologize for those, but now we are ready to rock and roll. I got Woodsey on here because he knows Skip and has a little bit of a history with him, whereas Skip and I are bumping up against each other for the first time. So let me just ask you this, Skip, to jump into things. When and how did managing possibly come into your view after your playing days were over?
Yeah, so I jumped into coaching 2 years after my playing career was over. Started coaching at first base for Andy Green and AJ Preller in San Diego. It was a rebuild type of season or start to my career, and it allowed me to learn about the game, the R&D departments, analytically, and then obviously on the other side of playing, which is not easy because when you are a player, everything is there for you on a sheet of paper, where to be, what to do, how to do it, and then you have your own processes of how to get ready for a game individually. As a coach, having everything prepared for those guys before they come in was an adjustment for me, even though I was a player for a long time. So I needed to be that first base coach, then the bench coach. Before I became a manager, I needed that progression in order for what I would think would be a successful start of my managerial career. So it really didn't start until maybe year 2 or 3 of coaching on a major league roster before I was really thinking, man, I could really do this one day or like to do it one day.
How have managers you played under influenced your baseball thought?
Well, at the time, Tony La Russa was my manager for 8 years, obviously a Hall of Fame manager. And you never want to be a bench player when you are a baseball player on any team, right? Like you want to be an everyday player, knowing when you show up, you have 4 at-bats every single day. So I wasn't happy being a bench player, but I knew my role, and part of my role was, helping a team win a World Series was off the bench quite often. At the time, I didn't realize how beneficial it was for me to be a role player watching Tony La Russa navigate through a game, whether it was bullpen matchups or double switches at the time on the National League side of things. And there's so many different parts of the game where, you can really make the opposing manager look like an idiot based on your preparation in a National League style game. So I really was grateful to watch that. And you don't get to watch it when you're playing because you're just in survival mode and trying to, get 2 hits and, whatever it is and try to win the game. But as a role player, you're trying to play along with the manager, just in case you pinch hit or double switch or pinch run, whatever it is, so you're not ambushed and you're ready. And that really helped me as far as my maturation of like learning the game.
We have the universal DH now and everything like that. Do you think baseball has lost something by not having that National League style anymore?
No.
So I do feel like I didn't want to see another pitcher hit again. That's for sure. I'm totally okay with not seeing, although Adam Wainwright would highly would disagree with this. I don't want to see Kershaw or Wainwright or these $30 million pitchers taking swings and blow an oblique or run and pull a hamstring down first base. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But I do feel like some of the strategy with some of these new rules has been taken away from managers. That's part of the deal that, I think the pitch clock is so much better for the game. I think the DH is so much better for the game. Some of the other rules you could talk through a little bit more and sit and argue with. But I feel like the game is in a really good place because of the DH, because there's more offense, and because the pitch clock, it's allowed for a 2.5 hour game and keeping fans more engaged.
Guys get into the game and they make their way through the game. They're in different places around different people all the time. And you spend a lot of time around baseball, talking baseball, learning about baseball. You really never stop learning about baseball. And I was just wondering, who are some of the guys who have influenced you? Other managers or just other players or other people you've run across in the game who have shaped your baseball think?
Yeah, it's funny. I've been asked that quite a bit, especially lately, of guys who have influenced me, and it doesn't always have to be a former manager. It doesn't have to be a former player. It can be guys in different positions in a clubhouse that have really impacted me, and not only as a player, as a coach, but as a person. Everything I know, I've learned from somebody. I really believe that, and I've just kind of created my own either managerial style or player style, or even a parent, being a parent, and in taking different circumstances. And so I feel like the main guys you're going to hear is Tony La Russa, Don Mattingly, Adam Wainwright, Kershaw. I could say Nick Punto, Michael Young, Ian Kinsler, that group. But also, I've said this before, the traveling secretary in San Diego is a 12 out of 10 person. He is phenomenal. And I am so grateful I got to run into TJ Lasita, because he has impacted my life just as much as Tony La Russa in my baseball life. So I just because there's a title attached to your name doesn't mean you can't impact somebody in their life on the positive side. So I could go in a number of directions here, but I just wanted to say that.
Woods from Ben and Woods as well.
Of course, and radio host.
Radio host, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, very.
So did you do a show with Ben and Woods, a regular weekly thing or something?
No, you just listened, right? Just driving in.
Yeah, I lived in Orange County, which is about an hour away from Petco Park in San Diego, and as a coach. My family lives here. I didn't want to uproot them and move them, and so I would commute every single day. And I started listening back as a player when I was with the Dodgers to the radio show. His name is Dave Vassay up in L.A. At me and my Nick Punto, who was a former player, who was my neighbor. We would listen on the drive up there, and it was just really cool to listen to a different perspective from either fans or radio hosts. And Dave Vassay was really good. So I decided I'm going to do the same thing on the way down to San Diego. And I decided to pick Ben and Woods. And it actually really started the year before COVID. But during COVID, it was unbelievable for me driving in, listening to Ben and Woods. And it was getting their perspective. They're really smart. I know he doesn't want to admit that, but they see the game in a different way that really opened my eyes in a fan's perspective. And so I was very interested to listen to them. And it just ended up being a friendship that last 5 or 6 years.
You want to elucidate further on that, Woodsey?
Yeah, but you want to talk about panic is when, I ran into Skip at the ballpark, I think down in the clubhouse. He's like, "Hey, I love your show." And I'm like, "Excuse me, you listen?" And it is like the most terrifying feeling because you forget, Ryan's, and you know this, man, you get in there talking with your buddies and you're just talking and you forget that there are people listening. And it was a good lesson for me. And it still is. Like I told a story the other day and I got a text from Bud Black and he said, "Your story about the nude spa that you went to had me rolling at 6 a.m." And my mind just blew up. And I go, "Buddy, you heard that?" And he's like, "Hell yeah, I heard it." And it kind of makes me sick because you get loose in there and you're talking and you're like, who's listening to this right now? And so we heard that and we love Skip. We were so happy to have him with the organization, obviously. And like, I would bust his balls all the time about the Cardinal way because we played them in the playoffs, and it was like, I'm like, who are you rooting for? Like it was really fun, and we are pretty like-minded as well. And like I'm a dad, and I've leaned on Skip over the years. We're both big mental health advocates as well, so that's something that we connected over. There's a lot, man, and I admire him greatly. But it was a real panic that set in the first time. I'm like, you guys, the first base coach is listening. Well, you better clean it up. Like, we really better clean it up a little bit.
We went through that same thing too when we were first starting out. And I think the first guy that I realized was listening to us and becoming something of a fan was Rusty Greer.
Oh man, what a great
Rangers.
player! Great player.
Yeah, to this day, I love Rusty Greer.
Yep.
And he was a young guy, kind of not quite ready for a place like Dallas. He was a kind of a country guy from Georgia.
Yep.
But we wound up doing a weekly with him for years on account.
We tried, but they hold the reins over there pretty tight. Like we're the flagship, and it's still sometimes like pulling teeth to get guys over. And everyone thinks it's such an advantage being on the flagship. And you get a little bit of an advantage, but we're not getting weeklies with Skip Schumaker, I'll tell you that. So we got more chance to talk to Skip after he was out of the org, and he would call in, and we'd have him on a few times a year.
Let's get to what led you to the Rangers, Skip. What are the connections that you have inside the organization here? I know Chris Young must be one.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, really, the connections. I actually faced Chris Young at 18-year-old travel ball tournament in Toronto. So I've known Chris Young and faced him since 1998 in a world kind of baseball classic in Toronto for a championship game. He was with the Dallas Stars, I think, or a very big team in Texas. I was with the Orange County Dodgers. And we ended up making the championship game up in Toronto. And so I just remembered this 6'10" guy, I've never seen anything like it, throw against us. And, we're facing, this guy going to Princeton and, really good basketball player. So that was the first time I knew CY. And then we formed this relationship during, our careers of facing each other. He ended up going to San Diego on a minor league contract in 2016. That's when I decided to retire. We formed a bond then. He moves on to MLB. We start connecting. And so the relationship just grew ever since, 1998. Michael Young there, one of my favorite people in the world. I played with him in L.A. in 2013, but he also went to Santa Barbara with me. He was a little bit older, but so we saw each other at alumni games. So there's a lot of connections inside the organization. Obviously, AJ Preller was a former Texas Ranger, and so there's some friendships and connections there as well. So it just really fit when I was offered the senior advisor role last year, and very grateful for that role, obviously, before taking this role, which I didn't really know was going to happen.
We texted about it, Ryan's, me and Skip, back when it happened. And, when he left Miami, I texted with him a ton when he was in Miami, and we talked about him being away from his family and how really hard it was. And we would talk about, the difficulties of some of the players and the, how hard it is that in that gig, because I really wanted to learn as much as I could too, because I coach and I want to be a coach and I want to coach my kids forever. And so I would lean on Skip for some of this information, and he was always so forthcoming with it. And then, he's like, hey, I got this gig with the Rangers. I'm like, oh, you're gonna be the skipper there in a couple of years. He's nah. I'm like, no, it's gonna happen. And sure enough, man, Rangers, win the World Series, and then the next couple of years go by, and we were texting the day he was flying back to Texas, and I go, don't you sign anything. Don't sign anything. Don't. Now I didn't know we were losing our manager. And I was like, do not sign anything. And he's like, sorry about it. Too late. So just missed him, man. Just missed him. The campaign was about to start on the air full time.
I had a hunch when I read that they were bringing him in as an advisor. Everybody knew the situation out here with Bochy and with Bruce Bochy. And I love Bruce Bochy, but we knew that there was an end to it out there somewhere. And I just had a hunch, without knowing any more about Skip than I did then or really do now, that, okay, they're bringing in the guy who's going to be their next manager.
I thought so too.
And you spent that year as an advisor. Now, what did that entail exactly, Skip?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say Bruce Bochy, everything you think you know about Bruce is true and plus. Like, he is an incredible human being, great man, great father, great husband, leader of a clubhouse. And he was doing that, 70 years old in his 40th, whatever year in the game. He's just an incredible guy, that a man that I could lean on, hopefully continue to still lean on if things get crazy here. So very grateful that he let me in the whole year on meetings and then I could text him at any time. And it was just I'm very grateful for Boats for allowing me to do what he did with me this year. But this year it was I would go to the minor leagues and see this, oversee a system, look at the prospects, evaluate coaches down there, and make sure that the coaching is aligned with the major league coaches, and what they see at the bottom is aligned with at the top. And you have to be molding these guys to where they're ready to win when they get called upon at the major league level. So that was part of it. The other part was sitting in the front office and watching the Rangers do their thing, and learning the front office and their personalities, the R&D department, learning the training staff, all of that, which you don't get to do when you are a manager when you get hired, right? Like, very rare are you get to oversee an organization for a full year and then get that seat. So I feel like I got a head start, and it's been awesome so far.
But when you came on board as an advisor, you had no kind of assurance that this was going in any kind of particular direction or anything like that?
I did not. CY was very honest with me, and in no way was I, wanting to do anything to disrupt a championship run for the Texas Rangers. And Bruce Bochy is the manager, so there ain't no way that I'm touching that. And so so trying to be as respectful as I could, and not be this helicopter, coach that would come in or advisor and come in and drop a hot take and leave. Like, I wasn't going to do that. And just trying to be as respectful as I could with the situation. But I just wanted to stay in the game and learn from a first-class organization, and a first-class Hall of Fame manager, which I haven't been around in my career. I've been around a lot of young rookie managers, which has been great. Don't get me wrong. But this allowed me to really learn a different way to go about things. And instead of taking these other jobs that I was offered, there was no doubt that this was the spot for me to learn this year. And so far, so good.
For about a hot minute, a couple of weeks or so ago, right before the Rangers announced you, there were some things that I saw as I do my reading and, try to learn as much about what's going on out there as I can, where your name was connected with a few of the other openings out there. And I kind of feared, because I was pretty convinced that you were going to be the Rangers' next guy, but I kind of feared that you might be stolen away from him. Did anything ever come of that? Did you ever have any conversations with anybody?
Yeah, listen, I didn't know what was going to happen with the Texas Rangers, first and foremost. And then obviously, that kind of, the opening happened, and with the Texas Rangers, that Bochy was not coming back. And then once that happened, I think, after talking with a couple people, like family members, and obviously my agent, if this was an option, this was where I wanted to be. And so once it became an option, this was like number one. I didn't want to go anywhere else. There might have been other places. It doesn't matter now, because this was a chance to come in and to win right away. My son is 18 years old. He is a senior in high school. He's committed to play baseball at TCU, which is 30 minutes away. So being able to see your family and also be a major league manager just does not happen in my world in the same city. And so I'm so grateful for that to happen, and to see him chase his dreams while I'm still trying to follow mine and try to win a World Series as a manager. Man, I'm like, I couldn't be more excited.
Skip, they asked me when I was on last week, when they were getting the lowdown on you, they said, what do you think is kind of Skip's priority? And I was close, I think, when I answered it before seeing your presser, but you and I have talked a lot over the years about accountability. And it's something I know you demand from your players. It's something that you're constantly looking for. I try to do it in my personal life. I know you do as well. When you went and did your presser and you talked about installing a culture, it's such a thing that we all hear, radio hosts and fans, you hear it. And I wanted to ask you, what does that actually look like? Now, I know you've been part of the culture there, right? You've already been part of the culture. You kind of know some ins and outs and some inner workings. But when you're now the boss and you're the manager, you can't just walk in the clubhouse and say, let's go, guys. That's not a culture. What does installing a culture look like? And how long does that take? And where does it start?
It starts day one with getting FaceTime and with your core players, and them understanding who you are, what you're about, and getting the buy-in from your key players is the biggest the start of culture. So they understand what I expect, the standards, the non-negotiables, and then get a feeling of what they believe in as well, so we can form this bond and this trust with each other. And by the way, if the player says something, I'm going to hold you to that. So if you're telling me this in October, then I expect it in June and July and whatever it is. And what I'm so grateful for is all these players. They're just they want to win baseball games. I mean, they're at the point that we have a lot of winners. We have World Series MVPs. We have potential Hall of Famers. We have Cy Young Award winners. They want to win, and I'm so grateful for that. But how do you get to that point? Yeah, everybody wants to win. That's the league. Every 30 teams want to win. So what are the separators? The separator for me is culture. So how do you form that is the question. It starts with me and the leaders of the major league the players. But then the roster construction is just as important. Well, I should say the staff construction to me is just as important as the roster construction. And obviously players win games. They win you the games. But if I don't have a staff that is having fun coming to work and pushing these guys to get outside their comfort zone and have the willingness to really push the envelope a little bit, but also get the trust from them, then it's not going to work and there's going to be disconnect. My staff has to know that I have their back and that they love coming to work. This is going to be fun. It's going to be some tough times, but you have to hold these guys to standards. And by the way, if I got our best players, our hardest workers, and they're upholding that standard in the clubhouse, man, this thing is going to be amazing. So trying to navigate, get the staff right first, and then pivot to get to the core players on the same page. That's how this thing comes together, and that's the best. And I do feel like culture can win and lose baseball games at the end. I really, truly believe that. The 500 team, something happened where you could have jumped and won 5, 6, 7 more games just based on culture. And when you get to the playoffs, the same thing happens because you're going to be tested big time. And everybody's talented. Every team has talent enough to win a World Series, right? Like the Dodgers are playing the Brewers. The Brewers had the most wins in major leagues. Over the Dodgers, right? So every team has enough talent. Now the culture, Murph has done an amazing job over there of creating that culture that, a lot of teams are striving for. And so that's the goal. So long-winded answer. Sorry, but that's
great.
That's all right. I like long-winded ansers.
Me too. Most
that
radio
shows
hosts
me
do.
that you're into it.
It means a lot to me, that's for sure. And this is an all-in job, man. I told Woods, like, you cannot be one foot out of anything. I don't believe that in parenting. I don't believe that in a marriage. I don't believe that in managing a game. So, like, I'm all in, and I expect that of everybody on my staff as well.
You really signed up for all this bullshit again, and all the media and all the stuff that we texted about, and I'm like, oh man, he did it. He really did it. He's going to do it again. And you look good in the uniform. As much as I'd like to see you in a different one, you look really good in the uni, which I knew you would. I told you, Rhines, he could wear a grocery bag and look better than we do. But
I know.
But like,
I know.
Yeah, it's just it's such a good fit, and you got dogs on that team. There's dogs on that team. Like, I think of Langford and, of course, DeGrom and Evaldi, and, like, these are straight G's. Like, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch and root for from afar, for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It was important to me to be surrounded by really good people. That was the number one thing. Like, can I come to work for 162 plus playoffs plus spring training and be surrounded by really good people? And that starts at the top. And CY and Ross are 10 out of 10 humans, family guys, and then it just goes down from there. We have Michael Lean, who's amazing, who's in San Diego, and then all the way down. So that was number one on my list. And then you start talking to the players, and who CY and Ross really care about, like, acquiring, are good dudes first. Like, what is the makeup? What's the character first? And then we can get to the talent, not vice versa, which really was a selling point for me.
This last season has driven Rangers fans crazier than any I can remember. And I've been around for every one of them. 1972 until now, I've seen every crazy-ass, weird-ass thing that's happened with this club. I've seen it go off the rails. I've seen it win a World Series. I've pretty much seen it all. But, man, I haven't seen much like last year, because it was just like they took the formula to Ranger baseball as we have all come to know it and just turned it upside down. You know, the Rangers have always been able to hit, and pitching has always been the thing that has done them in. And last year, that whole script just flipped. What were your thoughts as you were watching that?
As frustrated as you were, you can times it by 10. I think, from staff to players to front office, everyone was trying to figure it out. Unfortunately, there was, guys were getting let go because of it on the hitting side. So it wasn't fun. That's for sure. Because if you look at that lineup, you're trying to figure out what in the world. And, we're scoring, our pitchers led, I think, the whole league in ERA. We have Jacob deGrom and Evo and Leiter at the top. I mean, it's just an unbelievable, three-man, weekend series for any team. And then you have a World Series MVP in the middle of that lineup with Wyatt Langford, who I think is going to be an MVP one year. It was incredibly frustrating. Then you look at the run differential. That should have been in the playoffs if you just look at the numbers in general. It was a frustrating year, no doubt about it, because maybe the most frustrating year for a lot of people here in Texas.
Boy, I can certainly relate to that, Rhines. Looking at a lineup every night that should go out and score at least 4 runs, and the pitching held San Diego together, man. And it was like, it was hard to wrap your head around. It really, and you don't get it, you just don't get it. And it's such a dumb game sometimes that we've all fallen in love with. It makes no sense.
It was the damnedest thing that I have ever seen, because, I I've been a fan for all this time. I've been conditioned like everybody else to think that Ranger baseball is a certain way. And to see the cosmos, the baseball cosmos, come along and just take that and flip it over on its head, that was a lot, man. It was a lot to watch last year.
Not to mention the defense might have been the best defense in the major leagues as well. So you had the best pitching with the best defense. And, that's why I think there's a lot of frustration, top to bottom. And again, it wasn't that, these guys just had, it wasn't anything that was a bad guys or bad dudes or these injuries that just everybody has injuries. It was just one of those years that no one can really figure out. It's tough.
I know pitching is something that's very unpredictable. And what will you and your pitching coach, whoever that might turn out to be, what are you going to stress to the guys in spring training once you get there?
As far as the pitching side? Yeah, strike one. That is obviously, I think everybody will tell you that strike one is the difference maker in every single at bat. Leverage counts is a big deal of starting out strike one. If you see the averages of 0-1 and 1-0 count, it is crazy. And so we have some high powered octane on this in the starting rotation, right? We have three guys that throw 100 miles an hour. It's just wild. And a guy in Kumar Rocker who's coming up that throws 100 miles an hour. It's just the game is just crazy right now. But strike one, being competitive. When you get two strikes, put them away. I would love early contact on the ground would be great because we have Gold Glove everywhere. So use your defense. We have a big park. Utilize it. Take that use that as an advantage. We have guys that can really run in the outfield to run stuff down. We have Gold Glove finalists in the outfield and infield, and so utilize them. I think that is the blueprint of the San Diego Padres as well, where they have a really good defense and a really good pitching staff. Do not walk anybody. That's kind of the goal. Don't beat yourself. I think a lot of the times that you look back on wins and losses, it's you let them run on you when they get on the bases, and you allowed walks, and that's pretty much it. So if you can keep that at a minimum, we'll be okay.
Skip, I know October is a long way away, but it certainly seems to be a different beast every year, especially around here. It's the 24 scoreless against the Dodgers was you want to talk about condensing pain. I don't know that anybody's really gotten over that because everybody kind of thought, well, we got this one and then we're going to get through the next one and we're going to be World Series champs. And even the Dodgers said it after it. It kind of makes you sick to your stomach. And then you get to Chicago this year and nobody hits. It's just such a different animal in October. How do you train for that pressure or for those times? Because we haven't figured it out here. No one's been able to put their finger on why it happens. It's just different in October.
It is different in October. If you look at the games nowadays in October, slug is usually how you win games in October. Every now and then you will see, the situational hitting does matter. I don't know if it's so much like a lot of the bunt, but it is get them over, get them in when you have the chance, because we talked about the high power on the mound, octane of 98 to 100 with spin. It's tough to get 3 and 4 hits at a time. Yeah. So when you do get a leadoff double, you got to get him over, got to get him in. Yep. Other than that, it is slug. This is the reality of where the game is at right now because it's so hard to get, like I said, 3 or 4 hits. To train for it, Tony La Russa was adamant. If you ask Albert and Tony La Russa, they treated every game like Game 7. And it's hard to do that for 162.
100%.
I am not telling you that everybody can do that. It is a grind to say this is Game 7. But I will tell you that was the culture in St. Louis under La Russa, that if you felt like it was Game 7, a playoff game, once you got to the playoffs, it didn't feel as big. Yeah. And it's definitely different, though. There is no doubt. You feel different when you enter October. Yeah. That is real. And every level is different. The World Series Game 7, even though I was trying to prep for it, was Nick Punto was my guy that we drove to the field with every day, together every day, and my carpool buddy. in St. Louis driving to Game 7 against your Rangers and now my Rangers in 2011, that we didn't talk, and it was a half-hour drive. I mean, it is pure panic, so you just can't really prepare for it, even though we were trying for 162.
Yeah.
It's a really good question, but like that is what Tony La Russa really wanted you to feel on a Tuesday against the Pirates in June. Like, this is a playoff game. Like, treat it like that. Do whatever you can to motivate the players. Like, this is play like it's Game 6, Game 7. But it's not easy.
No.
Not easy to do.
Great answer.
I want to touch on one more thing about pitching, if we can, because I think pitching in baseball right now is better than it's been in a long, long time. Like, I can remember back in the late 60s, 1-0, 2-1 games. There would be 4 or 5 of them every single night. And that's one of the things that led to the advent of the designated hitter. So the DH comes in. We have the DH era. There's a lot of offense in the game. But now that script, to me anyway, seems to be flipping back toward pitching. I mean, the pitching right now is really good. Guys go up there, and there's a guy out there that you barely know anything about. He's throwing 93, 94. He's got about 3 different variations on the fastball. He's got a slider. He's got a changeup, and now he's got a sweeper, for crying out loud.
Got a sweeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on pitching in this game right now, Skip?
I'm glad I'm not hitting anymore. That's what my thoughts are, because I wasn't a good hitter when it was 88 to 91. So I can't imagine, what it's like when, like that 94 guy. I mean, they're barely out there now, right? It's literally 97 and above. It's just wild. And, you watched the Dodger game last night.
I was trying to be conservative.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching the Dodger game last night. I mean, Yamamoto was throwing 93 mile an hour splits. And not to mention he has a curveball and 97 at the top. And I mean, it's just, how do you hit that? It's not easy. They have, my thoughts on pitching is there's these facilities that train velo. And if you have command at an early age and you really are working on pitchability and not overdoing it, but like knowing how to throw strikes, you can train now to take that part of your game and make it like a velo plus command. And now you are like a D1 dude. And now you can go to the top right away from D1 to the major leagues in a hurry because of these facilities like Tread and Driveline in different places. The kids that get into trouble, they go velo first and then they try to get command and it doesn't work. So if you have a guy, if you are a young kid or, youth like, our kids or, high school to college, if you are command first, you can train the velo later. And that's where this game is at now, because it used to be, command and, trying to manipulate the ball a little bit. Now, then it went to grip it and rip it, see how hard we can throw it. And now it's come kind of full circle where guys can command plus grip it and rip it. And it is a challenge to hit nowadays. So, again, we're trying to search. There's different machines you can use. Traject has been a big push for multiple teams where it looks like you're the guy that you're facing that night. You get some real reps against them. But, until you're in that box, it is not easy to really train facing that type of arm.
As you watched the Rangers bullpen last year, what level of confidence did you have in it?
Well, I initially I wasn't too sure because we didn't have a ton of the high-powered arms right out of the gate, besides maybe Chris Martin and Garcia. A lot of the guys just could pitch. And come to find out, we had a really good pitching group and teachers and coaches and a really good catching staff that knew how to get guys out and could command the baseball. And so when I was talking about command first and velo, we had a lot of guys that can command in the 4 quadrants and really spin and manipulate the baseball. And I thought they did a fantastic job of not hurting themselves by the walk, not hurting themselves by the stolen base, and letting the defense work for them. And so overall, I thought it was a really good season for them.
You mentioned chemistry a little while back. And I think chemistry is important in anything anybody does, any kind of group effort that anybody has in any kind of walk of life out there. If you don't have chemistry, you're going to have problems. And at times, it didn't look to me like last year like this thing had real good chemistry all the way through. What are your thoughts on chemistry, how you build it, and just elaborate on that a little bit, if you would.
Yeah, I wasn't in the dugout in the clubhouse a lot last year. I'd, hop in a couple days out of the month, so I can't really speak on, that part of I think it'd be unfair, honestly, if I gave you my take on that part of what the team had chemistry-wise last year. But I can tell you that I know what winning culture looks like opposed to not, and just being on different teams, whether it was coaching or playing time, or when I was a player, what that winning chemistry really looks like. And again, I swear by this, it starts with communication. You have to communicate. Players want to know where they are, and coaches have to be able to tell them where they are and how to get better every single day if they're not happy with either their playing time or playing performance. So it starts with communication, and that starts from the top to down. I just believe that wholeheartedly. I've been a part of those communication as a player, like walking into an office and wondering why I'm not in the lineup that day. And then they're giving me feedback, that like real honest feedback, because what I know about big leaguers is they can sniff right through the BS. Like, they don't want the fluff. They want to know how they can survive at this level, take care of their families, be all-stars, and win a World Series. That is on their mind. It's not like me fluffing their pillow, even though some need it to get through some slumps or whatever at times. But the majority of it is like, this is where you stand in our eyes, and this is how we get. And then that's the trust really starts happening, which builds chemistry. And so you're allowed to have a coffee with them in the morning or a drink with them at night. And then you can start really bouncing, ideas off of each other. And that creates this culture and bond that you are striving to get right now, for me, October 15th.
Have you ever had a manager that you could have coffee with and a drink at night?
Oh, yeah. Tony La Russa liked to have a drink at night. So I don't know about the coffee in the morning. So, yeah, I mean, back in the day, that's when you could have a drink at the hotel bar, and there's no phones and social media and, that type of thing. And, Tony actually wrote his lineup after a couple glasses of wine on the napkins. And so if you were down in the hotel bar, you could kind of go over there and, see where he's at with this lineup, and he'd have 15 different napkins with your name on it or not on it, and and then he started talking crap about how bad of a player you were, but in a very funny, organic way. That was also part of the coaching that people don't really see. It's not just on the field; it's off the field, at the hotel, on the road, wherever it is. And that's when you can finally get a feel of, in a sense of, where a player is at and how a coach is thinking of you.
Well, Skip, how do we fix what's going on here in San Diego to where we get to play you guys in a World Series, next year? Because the talent's never been in question here. I think the thing that rankles me a little bit, we know what happened. Schulte left, and I hate that the players are being blamed. I do. Manny, Tatis, I wouldn't want to coach those guys either. And you've been with both of those dudes. You know them very, very well. It bums me out because, I love them. Those are my dudes. And I defend them and sound like a shill doing it. But, how do we fix – because the culture was improved, and the guys were together, and they just didn't hit. And, really, that's really what it is. And how do we fix what's going on? And who do you think, if you were picking the manager here, who's a good fit for you?
You put me on the spot. Those are some tough questions, Woodsey. I don't. Again, it's just tough for me to tell you how to fix something when you're not inside of a clubhouse.
For sure.
Right? They've won 90 games back-to-back years. Yep. Almost got to a World Series the year before that, or whatever. That Dodger series that was so tough, and the Padres at the time could have very easily won that World Series that the Dodgers ended up winning.
Yep.
It's been a really nice run there. Quite honestly, just there's no ring to show for it. So I think they've got chemistry, honestly, and I think they got a good culture because Joe Musgrove is one of the best baseball guys I've ever been around. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to pitch, recently, but I think that's going to, really help. And him being, there and throwing every fifth day, I think that's really going to help out. Manny gets too much heat from the media, as you know. Outside of San Diego, he is a good player. He really a Hall of Fame player, and he gives you 160 games every single year. Like, how many guys can do that? And Tatis, I'm going to still go down and say it, is one of my favorite players I've ever been around, and has really brought an energy to San Diego like you rarely see in different places. So it's such a fun place to go watch a game. It's a very attractive place to go manage, that's for sure. And I'm not going to speculate because there's a lot of things going on there right now, and I think it's unfair for me to suggest who should take that place over. I haven't been there in a few years, so I don't really know, but I do know that it's such a solid core there with, like I said, Musgrove and Tatis and Machado, Jake Cronenworth. You and your wife and myself love.
Very much.
Too much maybe.
Too much.
And then Jackson Merrill is an up and coming super. So many great pieces there. So I still think they have a window. They're still in that winning window, and it'd be. I think you're still in a really good spot. So sometimes the postseason you don't hit. I know it's fresh on your mind. It's like it just happens in these 3-game series, and you're just like, what just happened? And it's so tough, and that's why a lot of people say just get into the postseason because you just don't know what's going to happen, and you guys know that more than anybody.
Big time.
That's right. You get in there, you take your chances, see where it goes.
Yep,
that's right.
All right, Skip, I've got one more thing for you here, and again, thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, I'm with two legends, of course.
Did it ever dawn on you when you were with the Cardinals in the 2011 World Series, beating up on the Rangers, that there would come a day when you would be managing that team across the way?
Not in my wildest dreams did I think this was going to happen. Yeah, again, like that 2011, I know you don't want to hear this, but that was maybe the most incredible run I've ever been around or been on. Getting into the playoffs was crazy to even think about. Last game of the season to get in, we needed different teams to lose to get in. And then obviously game 6, as you know and well aware of how terrible that was you, great for us.
Never goes
and then,
away.
Obviously yeah. And then obviously winning. So no, it was not on my mind at all. But you have this game is about relationships. And in life, I think, is about relationships, and how you treat people matters. And it's funny how this game works because, again, Michael Young has been such an important person in my life, and he's not going to tell me this, but I'm guessing he was at the front of like, hey, Skip needs to get over here if at some point. And I'm grateful for that. But to answer your question, no, I've never thought about managing the Rangers until, maybe a month ago, to be honest with you.
Both my kids are waiting for their new Texas Rangers gear. So whenever you get around to it,
Let's go.
Reiner, you should have seen my 7-year-old would not take off his Miami Marlins hat that Skip had sent him. And, we're a big Skip Schumaker family over here, and we're going to be rooting extremely hard, watching every game, as we did when you guys were in Miami, dude. What a gem you are, and grateful for our friendship. And man, just a cool thing for you. I'm really happy for you. It's really cool.
No, thank you. And I've always appreciated the support. I feel like the players and staff should always use the media and understand that they have a job to do as well, and it shouldn't be like this pushback.
Yeah.
It should be like, they are helping us as well, and they have a job to do, and they're allowed to critique. It doesn't mean it gets personal at all. And you've always been really, really good at telling a story of the game and what you feel, and it's really good takes. It never got personal, and that's why it's so much fun listening to you on the drive in. You do it right. I don't want to hear about like whatever that new thing was with Buddy Black. I prefer not to hear that story again. But the baseball side's been awesome, and you just have good feel and presence, and that's what we love about you in San Diego.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, Woodsey, thank you for helping string this together. Skip.
My pleasure. What an honor, man.
Skip, I look forward to seeing the Rangers this year. I always do, but you've won me over, man.
All right. That means a lot. I mean, coming from you, let's go. Thanks, Woodsey. Let's do this.
You bet.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks so much, Mike.
Thanks, Skip. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, guys.
This has been your Dark Companion for this week. And remember, if you like what you've heard, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts out there. So listen to us, like it, share it, help us get the word out there about your Dark Companion. Bye.
All right. I'm going to go take my pants off.
Your Dark Companion is a Stolen Water Media presentation.